Welcome to the Dad Livin podcast. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. Hosted by four best friends who are dads first and storytellers second. We dive into the real, messy, hilarious side of fatherhood. From diaper disasters to teenage drama, work-life balance to building a legacy, we keep it real, fun, and meaningful. Whether you're a rookie dad or a pro, this is your weekly reminder you're not alone. Grab a drink, kick back, and join the conversation.
Welcome, everybody, to Dad Livin, another episode.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome back.
Yes.
How's everyone doing out there? Doing good? Right? We're doing
great.
pretty
We're
good.
great.
Wonderful.
We're all back together.
I'm back.
Doyman had a brief little trip, hockey trip, which was awesome.
Yeah, up to Iowa. A good time. Yep.
Gold medal.
Gold medal winners and went undefeated. Go Sharks.
Go Shark. Shane, good job. How many goals did he score?
I don't want to brag, but it was too many to count.
Oh, way to go.
There's
buddy.
a lot of goals in 8U hockey, so that's not just him.
See him on the Olympics here.
Yeah, I'll be there
Couple
soon.
rounds.
Yeah.
Dude. And speaking of the Olympics, we're cutting this on Sunday. We got the Olympics playing literally in the background. We got some figure skating on right now, but
Hockey's coming.
Hockey's
USA
coming.
men's hockey, USA women's hockey. Shout out to
USA.
those groups because they have been
Phenomenal.
dominating.
Not even been
everything.
close. Like
Yeah.
it's just
Kachuk
been-
brothers, St. Louis born and bred.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we're very proud, and I was even joking around with my wife a little bit. What the women are doing is so awesome. Like, I know the men kind of overshadow because USA men's hockey, but the women are just dominating.
Dominating.
Yeah.
Which
Total
is
domination.
so freaking cool.
It is.
The fact that they beat Canada, awesome. So keep it going, everyone. Keep it
Yes.
going. So
Absolutely.
and today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different than we haven't discussed yet, and that's the default parent syndrome. I think in a lot of cases, one thing we found that is discussed quite a bit is this syndrome that is, essentially one parent taking on or feeling like they're taking on a lot, and the other parent not necessarily knowing what's going on. So you'll hear like mental load. That's the invisible factors that are going into this. But one thing that I found in common, especially with a lot of dads, when I was looking on social and looking at a lot of different channels, was the fact that a lot of dads just ignore this, and then it grows and it grows and it grows and it gets worse. So we're obviously going to go over what it is and, bring some real life examples. We were talking about this before. And then really just getting into how you can kind of work through this with your significant other, because it is a bigger problem. And I saw a lot of threads that it led to a lot of the divorce
I
going
imagine
on.
it's a leading cause for
Yeah.
families, at least,
Yeah.
That's got to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was talking with my wife about this, and with everything going on, like we're just getting done with hockey season. It was crazy. I was telling Asti before this, it's kind of like we're winding down, which feels weird. And Doyman, I know you're kind of in that same boat
Oh, yeah.
where it's like practice has become less, all these things, but we just got done with the holidays. We just got done with all this stuff. And I said, what is the one trigger when you have a lot going on mentally? What is the one trigger for you, like that I bring up? And she's like, whenever you ask me, quote unquote, what can I help with? And if I flip out on you, guess what?
Okay.
Which, yeah.
That means that I have a lot going on, and just to kind of get out of my way. But, I think in that same sense, talking about it too is so important,
Yeah.
right?
That seems like a conundrum because, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
we are offering help. We're asking what we can do to help, but it's like implied that we should know what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's just the psychological differences of women and men. Like, we are actually coming at it from a good place, but
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
got so much going on that
It might not be so much
They're-
reading their
yeah.
mind. It might be like there's work to be done. You should be able to recognize it and see it and go do it. My mom was real big on that when I was a kid. Like, if you see work that needs to be done, just go freaking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. It might be some of that, but there is an element too of, I don't want to have to read your mind. Just tell me. I'm totally willing to help and do it. Like, tell me exactly what you want, and I'm going to help you with it to make it easier on you.
Yeah.
So,
Or it
Yeah.
becomes like you're upset at me because I didn't know what you want me to do
Yeah.
without you telling me. So, we're men, we have monkey brains.
well,
Ah,
it's the
yeah.
truth. Yeah.
And
to
that,
some degree.
and that is, yeah. And I feel like the two sides of the coin, and I think we all can relate to this. Like we work our asses off. I probably worked for 50, 60 hours last week, put a lot into it emotionally. It wore me down, and still came back with a ton of energy to cook dinner and do the dishes and do some of those things. So in my mind, I feel like I've done a lot, but I think in a lot of cases, taking a step back and understanding what your significant other's going through as well. Sometimes we can get so clear and focused in that. And same thing for them. When I'm talking about for the girls, like they can get in the same mindset. So one thing that we talk about a lot on this show is communicating. Sometimes just taking a pause and saying, "Hey, I feel like you're upset with me, and it's probably because you're dealing with a lot. I am too, and why don't we talk it over? Like, here's some of those things that are going on." I think approaching it like that puts everything on the table and saying, "Okay, well, I have a lot going on too, and you do as well. Let's work through that." So,
I think for us, or at least speaking about what I do, I guess, is I feel the same way coming home from work every day. You come home, 9 to 5. It's way more than that, but you come home, you walk through that door, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, dad mode. You don't get a break from, and I don't mean this, but work, right? You come home and you got to put in the work and the effort. I think I've been married with Megan now for, goodness, I'm hopefully don't get this wrong, I think 13 years.
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus. Yeah. We've been together for 20. So it's been quite a long time, but we've also found our own routine. So I know at times when I come into the house, it's like, okay, Megan's been with the kids all day, which is a lot. And okay, what can I start subbing with? Do I just need to take the kids and give them some attention so she can focus on something else, or kind of looking for those other things that we need to do? I know when it comes to dinner and cleaning up and those kinds of things, she typically cooks, so thank you for that. But I know that I need to clean up, and I take on that responsibility. And more than normal, unless Megan can read it on me, is that, it's bath night. I try to do that with all the kids and own that for all three and try to give her a slight break. And so we find ways to sub in and out. Not that I'm doing it probably all correctly, but that happens over time, right? I'm sure we were forced into something when we found out that we had twins, and we had to figure out ways to support each other because it was just difficult, right?
yeah.
And so I think we've just been able to carry that on, especially with Colton now, and keeping the family of three going, of just kind of finding your own areas that you can own. And it subs in and out each night just based on not even communicating. Sometimes you can just read the nonverbals of what needs to happen. And Megan's great with that with me. She'll know when I've reached the maximum limit, and she's like, go take a break, like go somewhere else, 5 minutes, cool down. I'm going to handle this. And I come back and figure out now what is it that I need to do. So again, I mean, communication, reading the clues, however you find those ways. And it takes time. It's not something that just happens overnight, but you've got to be willing to put in the work and the effort to make sure that you find that common ground. Right.
That's a big thing. It takes time. Like earlier on, especially if you jump into marriage and you have kids, that throws a wrench. Like you talked about the twin factor. Yeah, it's real. It's real with one kid. That it could completely throw off your rhythm, job responsibilities, what's going on. I think, the biggest thing, and as we talk about it, understand the mental load of what it takes on both ends. Like I think as partners, you have to understand the mental load for each person. The invisible tasks, like, in this case, like for me, Kelly, she's our organizer, the calendar. We're like yin and yang in this case. I'm going to see it and I'm going to do it. So I get a lot of shit done around the house, but it may not be on the same rhythm as her. So we've had to learn over the past 10 years to kind of balance those two things out. And, I got the skylight where it has actually changed my life, because now I lean on it from a schedule standpoint, putting stuff on. And it's really kind of taught us to balance these things out. I know what the kids' schedules are, at least for the most part. I need to get better with that, because there's times where I catch myself like not reading the school newsletter. I'll be like, what's going on? What's happening? The kids are off school Monday. I'm like,
they send so many of those. It's so hard to read them all.
It is
obnoxious.
I'm very guilty.
Yeah, just gotta skim through and try to get the bullet.
I'm a delete because I know Megan's going to get it and it'll show up somewhere. But that's probably an opportunity area for me, right?
Yeah. Right. I've been taking just a little bit of time while I'm working on some of the podcast stuff, like each day, to open those things up, understand what's going on. And it actually, this past couple of weeks, it's helped me just understand what the kids, like if they have any special activities or anything going on. I mean, Kelly's still going to plan, and she's going to do all the Valentine's Day stuff and all the 100 days of school things. Like I'm sure your wives are the same way in that case, but I think for me, it just helps get on the same page, right?
Yeah.
Well, recognizing the mental load, I think, is key. My wife's very type A and planner like yours. And, I think there's just a lot of stuff, unspoken expectations they put on us that like nobody wants to give orders to their spouse. It's like, you should know it's trash night and trash needs to go out. I shouldn't have to tell you, like stuff like that,
Yeah.
And I think you touched on it. Just, it's so easy. Like when you do find that rhythm and everything's going smooth and it's like, all right, my job is like morning routine. Okay. Like get them up. I usually get them dressed and fed. Jen will usually pack the lunches and get their backpacks ready, and I get them out the door. It's just when wrenches get thrown in and like when, okay, like not, your work schedules aren't always going to be going smooth. Like stuff's going to come up or like whatever it might be. It's when those wrenches get thrown in where you got to adapt. I think a lot of people struggle.
Yeah.
And that's where you do need to verbally communicate a lot of these things. Like, hey, I'm stacked with appointments this week. I know I'm going to be late a few nights. Like, so I'm not going to get the kids picked up. I'll be home late. Like, so how do we adjust and pick up the slack and help out when stuff like that comes up?
I agree. And I always kind of frame it at that, like, as you communicate and talk through these things, like helping is reactive and leading is proactive. So if you can lead the conversation or lead through some of those things, like, you're going to have a crazy hectic schedule a few days in advance. Like rather than waiting till the last minute and bring that up, Kelly and I talked about this even as a couple weeks ago where I had something last minute. Unfortunately, my work is shifting and changing. So I had to be in a little bit earlier for a meeting. I didn't communicate that. Of course, she's going to get frustrated. But I think catching myself as much as I possibly can to plan those and kind of lead the charge and saying, hey, I have to go in early. I understand that you've been taking off a lot with the kids. I have my parents covering the bus stop schedule. Go. Like, and immediately, like I did that a few weeks back and I said, hey, just heads up, here's what I did. And I realize that you've been taking off a lot with the kids and I appreciate you. I have my parents jumping in for the bus stop schedule. And she was great. Like, that's awesome. I appreciate you. That helped out a lot. Yeah. So, yeah. So what is it like from the first responder, like you guys with the planning?
It's a shit show.
Have to go through, especially like
appreciate the honesty.
Yeah. Like you just got overnights for
2 months.
2 months where you're working from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
6 a.m. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. What is that dynamic?
Well, as you can imagine, like a lot of it gets put on my wife because like I'm asleep during the day. Like, school days, it's a little bit different. I'll help them get out the door and, that kind of stuff. But, on the weekends and stuff, like all the hockey stuff that's in the morning or cheerleading or whatever else, is like, well, I have to sleep because I have to work tonight. I can't go into work with 2 hours of sleep and expect to, do my job. So, as you can imagine, there's a lot put on her, but going back to what I said before, like my mom taught me, she's like, just find work. Like, that's what I try to do is like, I just try to find the things I can do to take the load off her plate. I'm primarily responsible for the dinners. Like I cook dinner most nights, even on the nights that I work, I try to have it ready before I go to work. Laundry, I take the responsibility on most of that. I don't do all of it. She certainly helps, but I try to do that as much as I can. And then just keeping the house picked up and stuff. Cause on my nights off, when I'm on nights, like I stay up, I keep my schedule. So I'm not back and forth because that'll just, if you want to be dead at 55, that's a good way to do it. Right. Is changing your schedule back and forth. So, I'll have that time, once everybody goes to bed from like, 10 o'clock to 2 or 3 a.m. whenever I go to bed, I'll take that time to get those things done. So it's really just finding work and communicating with what needs to be done. And it's constantly evolving, constantly changing. But you get into habits and patterns and stuff. We got to figure it out at this point, but it's still, you got to make it work because you never know when my phone's going to ring at whatever time, like, hey, we need you to come in and do whatever because we're short or this or that. And, yeah, you just got to be on your toes, man. So
Jeez. Yeah, I could not imagine that, honestly.
So like when you have that shift, it sounds like you have a tight window of like maybe an hour when you're home with the family. Like you're getting home from work.
Correct. Yeah. So I got like, that half hour, 45 minutes. And then when they get home from school, I get up at like 2:30, 2:45, and I get them off the bus at 3. Yeah. And then I basically have about an hour with them until I have to start getting prepared and make my lunch, get cleaned up, get ready for work when I leave for work at 5. So it's not much time on the nights that I work. So that does suck, but
wow. And talk about mental load. That's got to add to your mental load.
It does. And it makes me guilty sometimes, especially on those nights that I work, or like when I work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's like I don't see anybody like more than about 15 or 20 minutes for 72 hours. So it sucks. I know I'm putting it all on my wife. She's taking care of all of it for the most part, and the kids miss me and stuff. And then it goes back to the burnout we were talking about before. Like I get done working that 72 hours, and the last thing I feel like doing is anything. Like I don't want to help anybody else when I get home. Like I just want to like do what I want to do, but you just can't. Yeah. The kids are expecting my attention. My wife's expecting my attention. They haven't seen me for 3 days. So it's all just works itself out eventually, I suppose. But we're still here. I'm still very happily married. I love my wife very much. Like we're doing great. So, which is rare in first responder relationships. I'm sure as you guys probably know, like a lot of them end up in divorce. So we're doing something right, I suppose.
You married a saint.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
You got to have somebody willing to participate in all of this, because not for the faint of heart by any stretch as a spouse. So,
well, and I think that's good to know for a lot of people listening out there, where that schedule can be pretty stressful. Like, so if you're out there saying, well, you're trying to mold, or I didn't sign up for this, like you did, because that's your partner. Like you have to adapt and change to some of those things, especially when you throw kids into that. Like we're talking about older kids, but even babies like that require a ton of that attention. I mean, we've talked about it time and time again.
That part of my life's like a blur almost, because I don't even know how I got through it because I was doing the same thing that I'm doing now. And then I was like, there's babies in there. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even. Now it is. It's we're busier, but it's easier because, like you said, the kids are a little bit older. Like, I don't got to worry about them, smacking their head on the fireplace or whatever. Like when you're constantly watching like the toddlers and stuff. So that part's gone, but it's still crazy. It's still crazy.
Oh yeah. No, just insane. But I think that's a good perspective too.
This just popped up for me. Like, I think as we're talking about this, the biggest misconception that I've heard over the years is like marriage is 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And well, yes, like it is, but that doesn't always apply to like all of the roles and responsibilities. Like, I mean, going back to 1950s households, like you had the provider and you had the housekeeper, and we're not there anymore. But like life is going to have its ebbs and flows where like, okay, maybe for a short period of time, everything might feel like 50-50, but mother's going to have different responsibilities up here. Father's going to have different responsibilities up here, and you have to lead your household. And not every quality of parenting is going to be 50-50.
Yeah. I heard
every chore is going to be 50-50.
A great quote in that same vein. It was, marriage and parenting is a 60-40 relationship with each spouse trying to be the 60%. You're trying to do more to help that other one out. But as you said, it's going to go back and forth. And rarely is it right here where you're both doing the same. There's always somebody picking up the slack where there should be, or there should be the other person picking up the slack when the other person isn't. And I think if you can't figure that part out, I think you're really going to struggle, not just as a marriage, but as parenting partners. It's just going to be tough if you're not willing to flex and maybe do a little bit more at times. And guys, we have a bad rap for this sometimes. Is like sometimes we're not striving to do that 60%. We're just kind of like, we'll just do the 40 and we'll be totally fine with it. Yeah. So, and that's not going to work eventually. It'll come to a head at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, there's rare cases where like, if you are a dad working around the clock, 80 hours a week, like hopefully you have a spouse that understands that and supports you. But we can't expect like, okay, even if you are the breadwinner, you're bringing home the bacon, that doesn't mean you get to come home and sit on the couch, or like the only thing you do around the house is cut the grass. You got to do more.
And no, I know, coming from like corporate America, my schedule, things can be always different, right? You've got events that happen at night. You have guests flying in and you've got dinners and things like that. And there'll be a few nights in a week where I don't see the kids at all because I'm leaving early before they're even up. By the time I get home, they're already in bed. So Megan's taking on that full responsibility for those days. And God love her, because that's just something that I'm not built for. But what I have noticed is like, okay, then how do I overcompensate when I do have the time now, knowing that she just put in all that work? And well, how do I flex up and do even 80, 90% so that she can just have some time to unwind, so that she can rebalance and recalibrate as well? Yeah. And I probably don't do it right all the time, but I try to keep that mentality of, you know, again, I've got to flex up now because she just took on 72.
Just recognizing it, I think, is like awesome as coming from a dad. Like, again, because it goes back to, it's like a lot of us dads, we kind of just take a back seat, let mom do most of the work. If you're seeing that and striving to do that, I think that's fantastic. Like, you got it figured out, you know.
You at least do your best.
You do your best.
It's
never going to be perfect.
Always there, but
it's never going to be perfect.
And then all the things that we've hit on too. I think as dads, we all got the certain routines that we know that we're responsible for within the household. So making sure you're maintaining those while also trying to overcompensate when you've got, you know, the hectic schedule that throws a wrench in everything that derails your normal week. So,
I agree. Well, and I love the concept of the 60-40 and everything that you were talking about with how the dynamics changed, and, you know, you were kind of bringing in the mix. I think, you know, you got to take into account the personality traits for each other. Once again, that's something that we've kind of leaned into, knowing that Kelly's going to plan, and I've had to adapt to be a little bit more forward thinking, but I'm a little bit more off the cuff. I can be a little bit more agile, and I enjoy that. Of, like, case in point, the girls went out for Valentine's Day dinner, which was awesome. Like, they totally deserved it. I didn't have anything planned for the kids at all coming into that Friday, but I came home. I'm like, what do we want to do? Here's some options: bowling, this. And they were like, bowling. So I was like, cool, let's go.
So I was just going to bring up I had no idea that Galentine's Day was about hanging out with the gals. I thought it was about, like, you didn't like your significant other.
So you had like a gal.
And I was like, why are you going out?
Yeah.
Like,
it was just for single people?
Yeah, or it was just to, like, complain, and it was like, I'm getting away.
That's great.
I never, like, put it together that it was the gals are going out. I always thought it was a bad thing. So that was something I just learned recently.
For any dads out there that didn't know that, there you go. So,
and you guys, we're going out.
Yeah,
that's
right.
But I'm glad they had a great time. So,
yeah. Well, and as I was kind of looking through and prepping for this, obviously, like, for those households, there's that manager dynamic. It's a mindset where people manage different things, and you have those kind of structures. Like, I think in a lot of cases for guys, if we start planning something, or like for me, if I were to jump into helping out with some of the school stuff with the kids, I feel like, and I jotted something, like, it mentally, I feel like I'm going to screw something up. So that may kind of cause me to take a step back and not jump in, when in reality, if I take the lead on something, that actually removes that from Kelly's mindset. And I feel like it helps. So, like, stuff like that, don't let those things kind of cause barriers in that case to you helping out. So that was obviously something that was big. And then, you know, waiting to be told, because I felt like it felt safer. Like, I'm going to wait for her to bring it up. It's never a good idea. Like, if you're a new couple out there, new parent, don't do that. Like, just don't. I jotted some stuff down, and then, just the fear of, like, I don't want to step on her toes. Don't feel like you're stepping on your toes. Communicate with that. And I felt like that is a safer area for us to get into. So don't let that dynamic kind of get in the way.
I think, you know, if you, back to the 50-50 thing, like, if you're the planner and the manager of the family and you like that type of work, then own it. And, like, don't, you know, put a burden on your spouse of, like, well, you should be, you know, we should be 50-50 in this. Like, hey, like, if you're the best suited to lead the family in that way, own it and be happy with it.
Yep.
I'm going to lead the family in other ways that best suit me, and then I'm more happy doing, you know? So
I agree.
It's definitely, it's something I think about at work too. It's like, play into your strengths, not your weaknesses. You know, it's something, at least, you know, corporate America, it's always what's your opportunities? How do you develop? And it's like, at some point, it's like, no, it's okay to have those opportunities. Lean into your strengths, because that's what's gotten you to where you're at. And I think it applies very well in a family setting as well, right? So each parent has different responsibilities, whether you're the planner or not. Megan is the planner in our family, and I rely on that solely because she keeps us organized. We know where we're going, but I've tried to figure out then, okay, how do I get shit done, right? And play up to that. And type A, exact same thing. We got the skylight calendar. This is fantastic. But she would also at times have lists that are sitting on the counter. And what I would do is go look at that list. What are things that I could do? Oh, we need to vacuum. Let's go knock out the vacuuming and then scratch that off for her. And then she'd come back and it's done. So it's, again, everybody's got their own dynamic, your own strengths. Play into your strengths and communicate those strengths so that you guys are leveraging them in the right way.
Agree.
Maybe every family should take a personality test and
a disc assessment.
Love that.
With
honestly, do it.
It might actually be a great idea.
Yeah, really.
What type of personality are you? And what are your main strengths?
Have you guys taken that at all? Disc assessment. I know it's a little bit more of a business,
like from a
corporate,
like at work.
Yeah.
Yo, yeah, they do that.
Do they?
Oh God, yeah. They got to make sure you're not a psycho.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Well, you're a high D and a low C.
Yeah, you do that when I started, and then when I got promoted, I had to take another personality test.
But something I never thought about is I've never shared that, like with Megan.
Oh, really?
I don't even know where my results
have that,
are.
and here's the results. Like that would be interesting to see. Like, does this make sense or not?
Maybe we'll have a segment on that. We'll all go back and do it.
I did share one I did with Jen a few years ago, and I'm like, does this sound like me? Because I don't know if some of it does. She's like, oh my God, this is you to a T. And I think it gave her a better understanding of how I think.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, maybe we'll have to have a segment on that. That
we'll all share our results.
Let's bookmark that.
Yeah,
it sounds like a real intriguing episode.
Hey, you're into that.
Hey, final bit here, and then we'll kind of get into some solutions and kind of bring everything to a head here. The final bit is I found as I was doing a lot of research that dads were looking for praise, kind of what we call the hero complex. Like you're coming in to swoop in the day, you're helping out with the laundry, so you expect a pat on the back. Like don't expect that. Like that is a very natural feeling because we're all human beings. Do it to help out. And I think Dwight, you were saying this, like you were raised like that. I agree. Go into the mix and understand kind of what those responsibilities are and complete them. And, that way, have a goal in mind. Like, hey, I want us to all spend some time tonight. So I'm going to help out and do X, Y, Z, or I want to watch the show with you tonight. So let me jump in and help out with some of the laundry stuff. I know that's a dynamic for us where, picking the sides. I do for the most part, the cooking. I would say about 90% of the time. I love cooking. So, as well as the dishes. And then she'll do the laundry. Yeah. And that's kind of our split that we talked about a while ago. It works for us. But, that's something I don't look for praises. Obviously, I want her to tell me that their cooking is good.
I agree with you. I don't think you should look for praises, but both ways you should still be giving them at certain times. It doesn't need to be over the top, but it's just like anything else. Getting recognized for a contribution makes you want to continue doing it, or at least feeling that you're seen, right? Yeah. And so, yes, you shouldn't seek it out, but it should be a good habit of doing it on the occasion of thanking for that wonderful meal or cleaning up or doing whatever. And that goes both ways for each spouse.
Little comments like that go a long way.
It's positivity. Yeah.
A little pat on the butt, smooch on the cheek.
Yeah. I'll take, And that,
agree.
However you find that, you should do that.
But don't seek it.
Don't seek it here.
I'm not going to do this unless there's a reward.
Right.
For me.
Yeah. Never doing that. I actually found an alarming amount of dads out there talking about that.
Really?
Like that specifically, like
I did the laundry and I didn't get anything, like blah blah blah. Now, once again, I agree, but how many times did your wife do that along with the 10 other things while you I read a thread and this dad was completely off, like he went out to the bar and he hung out with his friends because he felt like he was putting a lot of time into work. Obviously, that's the disconnect we're talking about with the show of not understanding the full thing of what's going on with the kids and everything that your wife's dealing with. And that is leading to obviously further circumstance with his wife walking out on him. So,
well, newsflash, if you weren't married, who's doing your fucking laundry?
Yeah.
Like,
there you go.
it's just called life.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Life.
living life. Like,
Mom's not doing
Dude,
it
that
anymore.
is so true.
That's
That is
right.
so true. So as we kind of bring everything together for this, own your domain. I couldn't agree that even, more. Like, sit down, talk about these things, lay the cards out on the table and say, hey, based on our types, our personality types and in the mix, like, I think you should take the planning. Here's what I'm going to do over here. How do we feel that fits? And revisit that too. Don't just say, all right, cool, done, and walk away from it. Revisit it and talk about that, because there might be an imbalance as you kind of get further down of like, hey, I feel like you're not doing XYZ when you should be. So it just kind of opens up the table to communicate and talk a little bit more. Stop asking, start observing. I think that's a big thing. Would me doing this make it a little bit easier on you moving forward? Absolutely. Like little things like that. And once again, if you feel like you're doing a lot of those things out there, which I don't want to always assume that the dads are the ones that aren't doing the stuff. There could be some wives out there, some partners out there that aren't carrying their load. So, don't give them the silent treatment. Talk about it. Like, lay it in and really kind of say, hey, I continue to run into this, or I don't have time for this. Could we lay those things out and talk through it a little bit more?
Yeah.
So, calendar leadership, one person on that calendar, or at least having a kind of contribution coming into it, obviously. But once again, if you're the planner, like Johnny, you said, like, that's the strength. You should go into it and help plan the schedule and help organize those things. But then the other person should be cognizant of what's going on and contribute as well.
I can't tell you how many times my wife's like, well, it was on the calendar. Why didn't you know about it? I guess I didn't check the calendar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Same thing has happened. And now Megan even knows to like, hey, don't forget about this tonight, even though it's on the calendar. But she knows that, right? You get caught up in other things, and we know each other enough to be able to call each other out when we need to. So
love it. Well, and my fourth and final point here for everyone out there: have a weekly 10-minute marriage ops meeting. I know that's kind of crazy. I labeled it as like an ops meeting, because as I was going through this, I'm like, where do I feel more aligned at work? It's when I'm talking with our project management team, our ops team, and going over those things. Same thing you should be doing with your significant other. Like, sit down, go through the week. What we do, and this is just an example, my wife is insanely planning, is we'll sit down on typically a Friday or Saturday night, or Saturday morning after breakfast. We'll go over what we want to eat the next week. What is the weather looking like? What activities do we have? What do we have to plan for? What do we have to shift or adjust or change? And it helps us just really align fully. Then she's able to, I guess we're both planning the meals. We're both planning what we need to get from the store. We're both planning these things, and it really does help.
That's pretty good.
That's
you
really
guys,
good.
You guys might be the leader in the space for this.
I agree.
I think you should create a whole video about this.
Kelly would get on here and she could talk for 2 hours about it. But I mean, it took failing. I think that's the biggest thing. If you're out there, it's not just like we have our shit together. None of us. I mean, we have to fail forward in a lot of cases. I joke around with my team at work, which they're probably laughing right now. Failing forward is the number one thing. Like, don't fail and then just leave it and let it grow. And before you know it, you're divorced. Talk about it. Silence is a killer out there. So if you don't have these meetings or touch bases, I mean, you're never going to work through it.
Yeah. Learn from your mistakes.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I think at the end of the day too, it's going to be one of those things. Plan, work through what's going on. And I couldn't reiterate more that if you're asking what needs to be done, you're reactive, versus sitting down and saying, hey, I feel like if I do X, Y, Z, this would help moving forward. What are your thoughts? Like, be that leader in the relationship. You obviously both can be a leader, but if you're leading the charge on your front too, that's being proactive. So
Great.
Good
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Love it.
Yeah, love it. And for those of you out there, drop your comments below. I think one of the biggest things is we're talking about this. We'd love to hear your thoughts or the dynamic you're going through. Obviously, we're touching on a lot of what we're going through, but there may be a dynamic out there that we didn't touch on. So we'd love to hear that from you all. Obviously, give us a like if you enjoyed the video today. Follow us on YouTube, Amazon Podcast, Apple Podcast. We're on those as well as TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. So all under Dad Livin. And then I've been putting a lot of work into the website as well over the past few weeks as we've been getting some charge. So visit us at www.dadlivin.com.
I know you're old because you just said www before the URL. You don't have to say that
anymore, right?
I'm in marketing.
I just said the same thing. And what else is there? Is there like WWC or
No, there is.
There's other ones.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Well, then I take back my comment.
There's dynamic.
That shows my age.
It could be a subdomain. So
we don't have to go into it.
I could talk for weeks about it. But dadlivin.com. Dad DADLIVIN.com.
All right,
So,
cool.
Go USA.
Go
USA.
USA. So yeah,
See
we're
y'all.
signing off here.
All right.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.